Are you like my friend here, Stephen, unsure about petty cash? Well, this is the video for you. So generally, most employees of the business requires all disbursements of cash to be requisitioned with either an authorized electronic transfer or a double-sided check. However, there are many instances where going through the whole requisition process will be highly tedious. Here's a scenario. Let's say Stephen here has to go on a coffee run for everyone at the office. In order for this to happen, traditionally, Stephen would have to fill out a form and then present it to the bookkeeper. Obviously, to do that, Stephen would have to know the exact amount of money and funds that is required to purchase the coffee. Unfortunately, Stephen would have to wait a few days for the bookkeeper to cut the check. Meanwhile, Stephen here would have to deal with all his grouchy co-workers without their coffee. Now, if only there was a way to avoid this scenario. Therefore, this is how the use of petty cash will come into play. Stephen would have to take some money to the store and buy the coffee and then bring back the remaining change and the receipt, and all his problems are solved. Now all his co-workers are filled up with coffee and work will proceed as normal. So essentially, petty cash is the amount of cash a business has on hand to pay for minor expenditures, so employees don't have to utilize their own money and funds. However, it should be noted that the size of the petty cash fund varies across different companies. It usually involves 3 steps: establishing the fund, making payments to the fund, and replenishing the fund. Now, establishing a petty cash fund is done by writing a check for the amount of the fund, cashing the check and placing it under the care of an employee, designated as the custodian. Therefore, the cash is kept within the office. If workers need money or funds to cover particular costs, they can request the cash from the custodian. Journal entry is made to record the establishment of the fund. So for example, here is the journal entry made to illustrate the establishment of the funds. As you can see, $100 is debited to the established petty cash fund and $100 is credited to the cash account. And since both accounts are assets, there is no change in total assets. After the funds are established, the cash can therefore be used to pay for qualifying expenditures. Payments are usually made in 1 or 2 ways. Either cash can be taken directly from the fund to make payments, or an employee such as Stephen here can utilize their own funds and seek reimbursements from the fund for payments they made personally. Either way, journal entries are not recorded from payments from petty cash. They are only made when the funds is replenished. However, custodians need to always collect the receipt in order to show the qualifying expenditures. As the cash in the funds decrease from expenditure, the company cashes the check for the amount that will bring the total petty cash back to the original balance. To illustrate this, here's a petty cash report that shows the remaining cash fund and the required cash to replenish the fund. The receipts are then used as documentation for recording expenses. When the petty cash fund is replenished, the amount of cash needed for replenishment should always equal to the amount of receipts. However, this is not always the case. Sometimes the custodian will not have all the receipts or present the correct amount of change, resulting in discrepancies between the cash needed for replenishment and the amount of receipts. In such cases, the discrepancy is charged towards an account called cash over and short. Thank you for listening.